We're going to jump into today's lesson. You're going to be joining me as I work through a task from start to finish. And in this case, we're going to be writing a blog post about AI accuracy and privacy risks. That's because it's a practical topic, and it's one that raises real concerns for a lot of professionals who need to rely on getting trustworthy information and want to protect their data and their clients' privacy. As I work through this task, I'm going to show you several of my prompting tips that can help you get better results from AI. And this includes breaking big tasks into smaller parts, refining your outputs step by step, and setting clear boundaries with the AI about what it is you do or do not want. All of this is going to happen inside of one real task so that you can see how actually AI works in practice. And while this isn't going to come close to covering everything there is to know about prompting, it is going to give you a strong foundation to build on. For the lesson part of this video, I'm going to be putting ChatGPT into Model 4.0, which is the same currently as the free version. I'm also going to be setting mine to private mode, but that is so that my prior chats with ChatGPT doesn't end up affecting the outputs that we get here. So let's get into it. So you can see here that I entered into the chat box here. Like I said, I'm going with a temporary chat, and that's just so it doesn't get affected by the stuff I've already written into it. And as you learn more about AI, you'll see why that would be a problem. But here we are, we're kind of starting from scratch. It's kind of the ChatGPT version of incognito mode. So what I'm asking it to do is to help me write a blog post that's going to be about weak points with AI or the places that's already known to fail. The first thing I've asked it to do is to ask me all questions one at a time. And there's a really good reason for this. And that's because otherwise, ChatGPT is going to send you a list of like 50 questions. And it gets really confusing really fast and you start to miss stuff. And when you miss stuff, it will miss stuff. So I'm having it ask me questions one at a time until it has enough information to shoot out an outline for me. After that point, I'm going to be going step by step through this outline and have it write each section of this blog based on the outline. And we're going to be doing that separately. The reason why we're doing that is that, yes, I could go and I can ask ChatGPT to write a blog post just about this topic, but the chances of it getting kind of off the rails a little bit increases, especially on longer product that you're trying to do, the more you ask it to do at one time. Because of this, it's going to be much more structured, and because of that, you're going to have a much better chance of getting a good output from it when you're trying to write, especially. Once we've approved the entire outline and it starts to spit out the various parts of the blog post that we're writing, then I'm going to have it ask me for additional instructions. And then I'm also setting a limit for it here, which is to never use emoji, because it's one of the more irritating parts of ChatGPT, especially if you're trying to write any sort of social media content, is that it starts blasting emoji through everything. So we're going to press enter on this one, and I will be providing this to you. This is happening in real time. So this is how it's writing. So it's asking what the target audience is. So in this case, I'm going to put in the target audience is you. So people that are looking to learn about AI for career development. All right. Now, from that, it's getting a target audience, and it's going to be changing the tone of what it's going to be writing based on that. Because if you're writing an essay, let's say for an 8th grader, then it's going to have a very different voice than if you're writing an essay for a bunch of professionals. And that's part of why I have it ask me questions, because you are going to forget all of these little parts of it before, like while you're coming up with a project. So, in this case, we're going to be talking, I'm just going to focus specifically on ChatGPT. But if we wanted to just write about AI models in general, anything like that, this is where that type of thing would show up. But different models are going to have different problems. So that's why we're just going to focus on this one. All right, and there's a lot of weaknesses, as you can see. So what we're going to be focusing specifically on in this video and on this blog post is hallucinations, bias, and privacy. All right, and because I'm going to assume that the audience, you guys, is not going to be super tech friendly. You know, whether that's the case or not, I don't know. But, you know, we're going to stay with more of a like generalized technical explanation of these problems. So I'm putting in, assume that you are talking to an audience that doesn't know text. And that's no offense to any of you. It's just, this is the type of thing we're trying to get it to write. All right. And now for the tone, now you could do this in a bunch of different ways from full-blown conspiracy theory. But in this case, we're going to do practical, informational, but encouraging. The reason I'm doing it this way is because if I was writing something for you guys, this is the type of tone I would normally have. So, and with this, we're going to be doing 750 to 1,000 words because that's, you know, usually what you want to have a blog post on a website to be. It's asking if I want real world examples for this, and I'm going to do that, but I'm going to ask it to provide sources for any real world example that it gives you. And the reason why is, as it's going to come across in the blog post that we're writing, is that it literally could just make up fact patterns. So we're going to say yes, real world scenarios, and ignore any of my weird typos and stuff like that. Now, you could do this in a couple different ways, which is you could talk to it like it's a real person, or you could just, like this, kind of just put the bare minimum in. So you see right here, we have, just right from the start, it has given us a general outline for each part of this upcoming blog post. And you can see as it's still kind of writing it, and that's what the lines are that are going across on there. It also, you can see, has provided links to the various sources here. So, and I could tell you at least as I'm spinning through these that some of these are for sure real actual things that happened. All right. And I'm just, for the sake of brevity, going to say that it's fine. And I'm not going to review it. But what you could do is go through and ask it to revise specific sections at this point. Now, from here, it's going to be giving you, as you can see, it just wrote the introduction. And, you know, I'm going to say that's fine and move on. Oops. All right. Now here it is giving a entire example of how hallucinations work. And this is exactly why I'm asking it to give me sources. And there's a bunch of examples of this, especially in the legal arena, where it would make up cases and stuff like that. It's a well-known problem, and I do have another video on it, and I'll link that. It is focused mainly on lawyers, and I will cover it again so that it is understandable for more people. But here we go with the next section would be a bias. Now what I'll probably do is just kind of speed on this through this part. I'm not going to modify any of this, but I also am pointing out that I'm not going through and checking all of it. And I will bring this up at the end because I would not personally, if I was using this to write blog posts or anything like that, the last thing I would do is depend on any of the information that it gives me or to depend on the writing that it gives me. Usually what I would be using something like this for would just be to basically to give me a guide for what it is I do want to write so that it's optimized like I would need it to for SEO purposes or something like that. Like I said, I'm probably going to be speeding through this part, but voice over it. So so as you can see, a lot of this is just like, let's move on, let's move on, let's move on. The reason you want to do this is that if it's breaking it up into smaller chunks like this, so you have, like, instead of just writing one long piece about AI, you're writing these individual pieces, it's going to give you far more accurate information and far better writing. And that is why it's, especially if you're writing anything more than like a couple hundred words, it is worth it to you to break it up into pieces this way. All right, now with this, it has moved on to the conclusion here. What we can do from here is that we can ask it to compile it all into one draft. And with that, it takes the entire essay that I just wrote and it just kind of breaks it all down into one big long piece of text. Now, like I said, if I was using this for a blog post on my own website, which would be unlikely because I'm a writer, I would not put it out this way without, at a minimum, reviewing everything and reviewing every single source that it lists in here. The reason being is that, like I said, it can make them up. However, with this, you have quite a long blog post. My guess is this is far more than the 1,000 words that I asked for, but I'm not quite sure. You could ask it to put it into a format such as Word doc or PDF. Usually I'll just say a docx file and then probably put it onto Google Drive or something like that. The other thing you can do, if you press this button right here, it'll just copy that entire chunk of text that it just gave you. So if for some reason it doesn't want to upload for you, and sometimes it doesn't, you just copy it, paste it into a document, and you're good to go. But with that, we have written an entire blog post, I think it's been in about 10 minutes or something like that, of at least like 1,000 words. Now you totally could use this, especially if you're not the best writer. It's just you want to read through it and make sure that everything is good to go. But with that, I'm going to shoot back to the other me that speaks into the different camera. So that's kind of it for today's demo. But I am going to link the blog post that I wrote just now in the description so you can read it for yourself. I'm also going to put the original prompt that I put in there so that you can try it out yourself. So what I'm going to suggest now is, take your turn. Open up ChatGPT and try it out for yourself. Play around with it. See what happens when you guide it clearly, give structure, and just talk to it like it's that pedantic teammate. You don't have to get it perfect. Just start experimenting with it. It's the best way in the end to learn how to use ChatGPT. If you found the video helpful, make sure to like it, subscribe, and share it with someone who might be feeling stuck or overwhelmed by AI. It really doesn't have to be intimidating. So leave a comment below. What is it that you want to learn to do with ChatGPT? I might even do an episode on it. And if you want more support, I do have a full course coming out soon, probably mid-October 2025. It's going to be designed to help you build practical, real-world AI skills, and it's going to help you build your confidence in AI knowledge so that you can get it to do what you want it to do. And so that you can get that little bit of an edge in your career when everybody is worried about losing their jobs. Subscribe, and you'll know as soon as that drops. Until then, I'll see you later.